is. Going live on YouTube now because you have to go live vertically on YouTube if you want to get creator money, apparently. Learning all the things. I guess YouTube is trying to rebrand itself. It's like, we're like an app too. We're not just a computer thing. You can go live vertically. I'm creating my 10th TikTok account because, because that's how silly it is. Good morning. I have so much weird packaging up homework to do. And I can go live on the new account. No, I don't want to practice. I'm pretty sure I know how to go live. I was born more than 18 years ago. Right. The facial estimation of your age is fun. Oh, hey. We're going to be traveling down the Pacific Coast this summer, and hopefully we're going to go to Portland and like do a live with Park Rose Permaculture, Angela. And I think it's so funny because it's like we're both watched for our political content, but like we're probably going to do an hour-long political discussion. The rest of the time, the two plant people are just going to be talking about plants because my husband is a plant scientist. I didn't even know about her until she made a video like defending me, and my husband was like, oh my gosh, I love her. It's like, okay. So, but now, no need to be defended because we all watched the parade. But really, people trying to get y'all to believe that I work for Donald Trump? Oh, folks. Okay. Well, this is already done. I just need, there you go, exit cost cut. We don't have the right joy boxes, but I'm doing good, selling the rainbow stuff to put money toward bringing youngest knitting cult sibling to New York for Pride. So we will be in New York next Wednesday, the 25th. And dates are in bio, but it's the Gallivant in Times Square at 5 p.m. on Wednesday. Bring your own book because I won't have them with me. So there's something about this one from my very popular dropping my credentials video, and I'm sad because it was so pretty. But I'm having so much fun. Oh, it's so fun. All right, look. So this one, I just put on a choker, and I think I'm gonna put more colors on it. This one, I don't know if I can pull it around and make it not ugly, but I think I'm just gonna keep adding stuff. Knitting Cult Baby says blue next. This one I made, and it's just way too fuzzy to actually wear, but I kind of think that if it goes with my crazy yarn lady outfit, but I kind of think that if I just have more non-fuzzy yarn in layers, then it'll become more wearable. So I'm gonna try that. And then, ooh, Layla, I don't know if you're on here, but someone that I bought some beautiful yarn from. And I honestly can't tell if I love it or hate it, which is a good thing with art. Because I wanted these colors specifically for this Kenyan jade necklace, but it's also very much giving Mardi Gras. And I don't know if I like it. But I think what I'm going to do is finish this set of purples, and then I'm going to actually do longer curly cues in the bright yellow. And then we're going to see what that looks like. I really want to see the whole chat. Okay. Hey, London. Amazing. I really, really hardcore want to go to London, but I'm also kind of deconstructing my Jane Austen, so. Not really the Jane Austen, but like the concept of the every woman, which I've had lots of different interesting interactions of my life with. All right, so we have that one. Just like, why do all the labels keep running away from me? Circular logic earring. See, it's supposed to be a custom color, but then when people don't personalize it, I'm just like, I don't know what to do. Should I just send her some, or should I just make purple ones? I think I'm just gonna send her something fun, and if she doesn't like it, I assume she'll get back in touch. So I think she's getting these ones, because these ones are very fun. Hello everybody, this is the new account on TikTok. Somebody asked me how many I have active right now. I have 3 active right now, and this is number 10. And I keep hoping that like I've learned the final lesson, but one of the things I realized is I have to have 2 open accounts. I have to have one account where I do create the cult stuff and the political content stuff, where I get creator money, and then I have to have one account where I do the book stuff and sell books. And I'm just exhausted, and I kind of want to quit TikTok and just put all my time onto YouTube, but I still love TikTok. Mr. Nitty Colley is like, you can't do that. You wouldn't survive. I was like, yeah, that's probably true. In 10 days on the last account, I've already done 71 videos about the cult of MAGA. It is my full-time job. Okay, what am I doing? I need my steamer, of course. Of course, of course. It's like 10 more boxes of books. They're gonna go out so that people can keep buying uncultured. My most exciting news is that probably like starting on the 27th of July, I'm going to be driving in some kind of van that is probably wrapped in Knitting Cult Lady logo and picture and coming soon Culting of America QR code. I told Mr. Knitting Cult Lady we're gonna have to figure out how to keep that covered until the actual unveiling on August 5th, but we're gonna be driving through Canada, so maybe we're just gonna let Canadians see it in advance. But then I'm definitely gonna do a very dramatic, like, unveiling of the cover. And then, so we're gonna drive from DC straight to Canada. We're gonna drive across Canada, not give any money to red states. And then we are going to go spend a week in Seattle-ish, 5 days, and then we're gonna go down the Pacific coast. Yes, I do save my videos and upload almost all of them to YouTube and also Patreon. which is where I do book club through. Look, this one, I shortened the chain. I think it's super cute. So I'm taking pictures of all these today so we can post them into the shops. Into the shops. And I had to fix the Ukraine necklace, which to me is the Brazil necklace, but I'm not ready to sell it yet. Yeah, I'm like, we're gonna play Knitting Cult Lady Bingo with the country, okay? But yeah, and I'm trying to Knitting Cult Lady finance the van, have the whole thing as like a work trip, but it's also just me effing around with my family for the summer. And we're gonna have Knitted Cult Puppy, and we're gonna be trying to convince him to not be a Republican on that trip. Pretty hardcore. Knitting Cult Lady Chats is also me. Hi, I'm Daniela, and this is my 10th account. I'm trying. Now I'm gonna maintain 2 accounts. Hopefully that will just be agnostic to all of you. You'll just sometimes see accounts where I'm talking about books and sometimes see accounts where I'm talking about politics. And apparently now I might just be a political analyst. There are so many fakes too. There are so many fakes. It's hard. But I'm blocked from going live on the other channel because my boobs apparently are vulgar to China. Not my boobs, my cleavage. So, you learn all the rules by getting them wrong, but then TikTok's just like, so like all the platforms, right? Like YouTube has rules about what you can monetize. But if something doesn't fit the rules, they're just like, okay, this thing is demonetized. They're not like, and we're gonna punch you over here. And also no backsies, like once you get a violation. And like what they're doing to me now on the most recent account is they're just suspending my shop for 2 days at a time. But they're on bad violations. They're like, you didn't show your product. I'm like, yes, I did. Here's photos of me showing the product. And then it takes them like a day and a half to get it back. And in the meantime, I just lost, 25 sales that day. And they're just continuing to mess with me. And it's starting to become like everyone has a part of their job that they don't like to do, but they have to do it because pays them. It's becoming TikTok. Yeah, but me and the sash was fine. Exactly. Like, I mean, it's just, and I'm also kind of deciding and think I'm just giving up on the TikTok language and I'm just going to say the words because it's like, you're going to kick me off this account in 10 days anyway. So how do I care? Okay. How long I've been knitting? 33 years, as long as Jesus was alive. I've been waiting for this year. My mom taught me when I was 5. She specifically made me wait till I was 5. I think when it comes to politics, we are under a cult government. I wrote that book. It comes out January 20th. I said before I triggered a hyperfixation. I think, part of that is just deconstruction, right? It's just like, I'm the person talking about the thing you're going through right now. I always tell people, I'm like, if in 3 years you're still hyperfixated, like maybe discuss that with your therapist, right? But like, as you're learning something, and by the way, one of your hyperfixations as you're recovering needs to be yourself. Because if you were in a high control environment, you were like, your individuality and your personality was taken away from you. And so and especially if you grew up in a high control environment, like you're supposed to be incredibly obnoxious and narcissistic as a toddler and as a teenager, because you are going through developmentally appropriate stages of learning that you're an individual who matters. And you didn't go through that if you grew up in a high control environment. So this is why my line, so the last song of the musical, yes, I'm writing a musical, the last song is going to be called Living With It, and it's going to be that kind of song where I'm not even going to write it till it's all cast, and then everyone's going to get to contribute a line, and my line is, because we were delayed adolescents. Now we gotta have our delayed adolescence. Yeah, if you didn't rebel, like if you didn't tell your parents you hated them as a teenager, like you probably need to be a little more narcissistic as you are deconstructing and recovering and learning that like you're a valid human and it's okay for your mission to be you. Someone tried to shame me today on my thing saying I was dumping accounts. They're like, oh, so you're just doing it for the money. I love the hypocrisy of this. Like, I'm absolutely certain that you like to be paid for your job. And if you don't, you're probably getting exploited. And in fact, one of the best ways to protect yourself from cults, because cults are always about labor, is to really value your own time and your own labor. Thanks. My mom does watch my content. She's actually on TikTok. Her name is Grieving Next Door Mama. She just finished being one of the proofreaders for my second book, so she definitely reads my books. And yeah, she's great. She was also born and raised in the cult, but she's also a very rare breed of parent who's been able to give their children the space to deconstruct while not making them feel bad. She's definitely open to followers. It's Grieving Next Door Mama. And she learned from me building this space. One of the things about learning about neurodiversity was like, oh, I understand. People in my real life don't want to hear me talk about cults for 12 hours a day. And so I build lunar valleys on the internet where I can do that, and people do want to hear me do that. And she needed a space to talk about losing a child. So she has created that, and it is great. And I forward all her stuff, so you'll see the right person. Yeah, and I think it's been good for her, and she's seems to be surrounded by people that think a year and a half is long enough and you should be over it by now. Which is, of course, awful. Okay. You have circular logic earrings. For jewelry boxes and these things. You can't ship people smashed up curly cues. That looks bad. And I got fan mail. Like 3 packages the other day, and even Mr. Knitting Lady was like, that's pretty cool. Like, people just sent you some stuff. Healing nothing in me, so that's good. Grieving takes time. Yep. I do look like. And it's funny to people who've read my book because they're like, "But you talked about not looking alike," and I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, when I was a little like sandy blonde child and like kind of looked like we had different coloring because I was, Brazil, all golden and." I don't know. Now, yeah. When I was 6 months pregnant, I posted a photo on Facebook and it tried to tag me as my mom. And I was just like, okay. We definitely look alike. So, and then it's funny because now youngest knitting cult sibling is here with us for a few months and he also looks very much like my mom. Which is pretty cool, actually. One of the things I have to do is put this jacket together. Show you all the creations that are in the works. So this dress became too small for me. So I cut off the top and I'm gonna make it like, I'm just gonna crochet the back, attach it together, probably make this like its own dress with its own like orange stuff on the bottom. take the skirt. I could just make it a skirt, but I feel like I'm gonna make it a scarf again. Like I'm just gonna cut down the front of that zipper, sew the tops, put armholes in it, and it's gonna be like a very capey kind of fun thing to wear. So that's what I'm doing with those. But right now, actually, and a lot of you asked me about this, and I have to put it together. So let me see how to do that. Have I enough wardrobe space? Well, I sell a lot of things and also have to switch out summer and winter wardrobes. Now is probably getting to the point where also fallen spring wardrobes, but that's okay. And also while we're going across Canada and the Pacific Coast, I'm going to hopefully be going to thrift stores, and I need to have, you know, the knitting cult, or the Culting of America era is going to launch on August 5th. I feel like I'm going to need to have a bunch of great red, white, and blue outfits. So that's specifically what I'm going to be on the lookout for. Right now I'm in the mini era called Try and Come From My Job. All right, so somebody wanted a jacket that was green and purple. And like, if you want to go from red to green, you go through brown. So I thought I would go through maroon, and actually had this perfect mix color, just one skein of it. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. Oh, I feel like I have to sew it up all in its own color. So, so yeah, thrifting is so much fun. It's just treasure hunting. And plus I've learned, like, if you're like an ADHD baby and apocalypse baby, like, you're probably bad at financial management and future planning. And I just learned, like, sometimes I just need to go have a little spree. So I do it at a thrift store. So I got a bunch of corsety things recently. And people always ask me to make knitting content, but those never get any views, because apparently that's the least interesting thing about my videos. Okay, first. All right, so I was doing these jackets, right? So these jackets was me being like, I was watching Taylor Swift and the Karma jacket that she wears, and I was like, oh, I can knit something like that. And I did. And then I just was like, oh, knitting with this stuff is fun and it looks great. And then Knitting Cult Baby named it the Cult Coat. And one of the things I started to do, instead of sewing the pieces together like you would usually do with a thing you knit in several pieces, I started crocheting them together, because if I make a mistake, it's really hard to find the thread again to take it out. But if you've crocheted it, then you just have to find one string and pull it out. But then and then of course I also learned that, like, a basic cardigan is just a square or rectangle for the back, 2 front rectangles half the size, and then 2 tubes for sleeves. And that's how the Cult Coat was born. But then that was also how I realized the scarf again. I was like, oh, I can take a scarf and cut it into those pieces and then sew it together and add sleeves. But then also the crocheting pieces together. And when I do my scarfigans, I usually make the thread very visible contrast color and just leave the pretty seam hanging out all of this is in my Culty Knitting Patterns PDF book, which you can get on my store on YouTube. Can't get anything on this new TikTok channel yet. And they don't let us sell digital stuff. But on my other accounts, it's linked in the bio. Sorry, linked in the bio. I'm done with their silly language. See, when you say you began following for the knitting, right? So when I was getting onto YouTube and my brand was exploding, and my talent manager had this linked YouTube consultant, and they were both concerned that, like, because of the name Knitting Cult Lady, people were just going to want knitting content and then be upset about what it was, and so that would affect our watch times. And I was like, oh no, I'm not concerned. I know fiber artists. And there's just so many people. It's like, came for the knitting, stayed for the interesting content. And I was like, yep. And that's basically actually the brand. The closest thing I've seen is Martha Stewart, but I'm calling it the Taylor Swift of cults. And it's just like, I have a lot of interesting different perspectives. Plus I just sit at home and knit and know things, and I can bring in other interesting perspectives. And this is one of the things. So like one of the things I did, because I found, content creator, I mean, I like that term better, like thought influencer. I thought that was so creepy and blah, blah, blah. And I also see the like deification or cult-like element of social media with the followers and blah, blah, blah. So I spent a while to figure out what I didn't like. And then I made my guru gotcha checklist. But one of the things, I used to say in my leader consulting business was like, if you're the CEO of a company, like make sure 25% of the ideas that you're implementing in your company are coming from outside of your organization. There was one large cell phone company that failed to predict the iPhone, and they lost billions of dollars in stock. It was Nokia, however they are pronounced. And they were also the only cell phone conglomerate where the entire C-suite was from one country. So I've always been like, you can track and make sure that your stuff is coming from other places. And by the way, this is what I think is the difference between an expert and a guru, right? Like an expert can tell you like where all their expertise came from, including the 10,000 practice hours, right? And a guru is just like, I was touched by angels. Somebody was like, how does this work with baking? Like, I would say I'm an expert baker, but like, I can't tell you where I learned it. I'm like, no, that's a great example. Like, you absolutely are only an expert baker if you have spent hours and hours and hours and hours and hours honing your skill, right? But anyways, to basically avoid this element of deification, I was like, I bring in other people's content, other people's stuff, ideas, books. And what that is just made for is I curate interesting spaces. And that basically means I can do whatever I want. Yes, this is a new account. I'm just like, I was almost done yesterday, but then I was reminded of how much money I made in having the last account active for 10 days. And I was like, okay, fine. I'll do it again. Yeah, Blockbuster turning Netflix down because they didn't think anyone was going to care about subscription. Also, Lex Wesner, who basically built mall culture in the US via Victoria's Secret and all his other stuff, great book about it called Selling Sexy. And he basically bet against online shopping. He was like, that's not going to be a thing. That's not going to take off. Meet all the empty shopping malls. Sorry. Yeah. Blockbuster had the opportunity to buy Netflix for $50 million. And they said no. So, anyway. And I just like that I feel like one of the things in the Children of God was you just weren't allowed to have any special interests because that was like taking away from Jesus. And that was also true of my specific stepfather, even though like he spent his whole life in his special interest, which was just drawing cartoons for Jesus and having kids he didn't take care of. Anyway, and now I just monetize one special interest after the other. So, you know, there you go, Dad. I am what I am, 'cause you're dreaming. That line's gonna be the musical. So, anyway, he asked me if I could show what I'm making. So that's what I'm putting together one of my cult coats. I'll sell these for $300. And yeah, someone asked for some interesting colors. And they got them, and I hope they love them. And now I'm just putting the pieces together. I'm still finishing the sleeves, so I will just putting the vest together. When it's in the stage where it's just a vest, I call it the Exmo, because even when it's cold AF outside, you still want everyone to know that you're not a Mormon. Although now they can show their shoulders. Literally when I heard that, other than being like, ha ha ha, their cult is starting to crack apart. But I was like, oh no, I feel so bad for all my Exmo sibs from another crib, because they're gonna have to find a new thing to show that they're not Mormon anymore. Other than like always having a cup of coffee and being covered in tattoos. Oh. I am still kind of trying to work on the musical, but I did start yesterday putting together, so I have to explain how turning your brain into products works. So if you can get paid for your brain, some any kind of white collar work usually, and you sell it to a company, we call that a job. You can sell it directly to clients, and we call that consulting. So I, for example, can teach you how to take your life story and turn it into a book, a brand, and a business for $3,000 one-on-one. But I'm going to do a class in the fall. It's going to be like a 3-month kind of intensive course for $350 that like 15 people are going to be able to take. But as I'm writing that class, in fact, before I sit down to write the content, I'm creating a series that's just going to be like 6 to 10 30-minute videos of me telling you how I did it. And that's going to be available for $25 on my Patreon, or for free for subscribers. And then once I teach the course this fall, probably have to wait a little bit because then we'll be launching Culting of America, blah, blah, blah. But then at some point I'm going to hire a videographer, and then we're going to make that course into an asynchronous course that you can take for $200, right? So now I took that service that I could do one-on-one or in a group setting of a class, and I've turned it into 2 products at 2 different price points that can sell while I'm sleeping. And that is how you divorce your time from your money. And part of this class is going to be me helping you brainstorm how to do that, if that is a goal of yours, specifically by tucking your expertise into your books and products, and then giving away your expertise on social media, and then people will come buy your products. It's most interesting when the books are sold out, because you all will rush my shop and buy earrings and paintings and sort of all the additional things, because it's like when you're actually giving people value, they want to give you money. And that's why today when someone's just like, oh, you're just here for the money, I'm like, yes, and I'm not going to be made to feel bad about that. Pretty sure you just do your job for the money too. People get very spicy when they attack you and you like don't just sit down and lose, but you slap them back. Slap their peepees, as we like to say in the army. No. It's not exactly the same because that's can be hard to achieve with eyelash yarn. And it happens all the time. Like when I get a lot, it's, the constant selling of the book is exhausting. And I'm just always like, your hypocrisy is exhausting because I'm sure you expect to get paid for your work and you don't work for free, even some of the time. On the flip side, when people are like, thank you so much for all this free information you give us, I'm like, oh, I get paid pretty well for this. It's my job. And nobody that is following me is upset by the book pitch. I've just never had people just be like, it's so exhausting. They're just like, oh, it's like your TV jingle every time. My stories are on. So anyway, but it is interesting the difference that it makes because on YouTube or on Instagram or any of these other more stable platforms, you can just tag products to your videos and you can tag many. But people see a flag inviting you to visit their shop. On TikTok, you are only allowed to tag one product and you have to physically show it and talk about it. So you basically have to do an ad. And then the flag in the video literally is like uncultured signed book. And it is a one-click confirm process. And the numbers are vastly different. And I think and it even goes deeper than that because TikTok has created a platform that is easy to monetize, which is then why you now have this sort of expert content because serious professionals can show up here and get paid. That's one of the things I'm trying to help people figure out. Make one sale infinitely. But also, I heard there was one helpful statistic that traditional publishing gave me, which was people need to have 7 interactions with your book before they decide to buy it. And every once in a while now people will be like, I don't know what it was about this post, but this is the one that finally made me decide to get your book. And I always think to myself, it's probably your 7th post or something. So I've sewn them together across the tops, right? And now I've left enough space for the armhole. And now and when I say sew, I mean crochet. This is just a single crochet that I'm doing to put both stitches together with the same yarn. You'll pretty much never see it. You kind of see the outline if you look really hard, but then I put a tag in it so you know which side is the right side. And now all the other platforms are starting to try to do creator program where you make money just straight off your content because they're realizing what TikTok is doing. But nobody's yet to do it as good as TikTok. So there you have it. I am knitting while I'm crocheting together, in fact, a cult coat. That's what we call it. And it's just basically a fun fur coat made out of this eyelash yarn that I really like to knit with. And as long as I'm changing up the colors, it doesn't bore me. And it's very sensory fun. I do many media interviews. In fact, right now I'm putting together a list of the hundreds, probably at least many dozens of podcasts and NPR stations that I was on for Uncultured's release, because every single one of them was like, come back when you have Culting of America ready, and we were going to. So booking some of the big ones right now, but we are going to, oh no, I never heavily used Joann's at all because it's much more of a fabric store than anything else. But I buy now most of my yarn just in thrift stores. And then like this kind of yarn you can also just get much cheaper on eBay. Like I can get 5 skeins of a color for like the price on Amazon, because especially this yarn people buy a lot of, and they think they're going to be able to handle it, and then they're not. And now I'm trying to set up my first actual yarn sponsorship, because I've been buying like actual nice hand-dyed yarns for making of my jewelry, and it's going so well. So I just bought, or no, I didn't even buy it. She sent it to me for free, someone on here, all this yarn. And I'm like, okay. Yeah, and those are the kinds of products, like we're starting to get people asking us on YouTube to do like, can we send you this to see if you can sponsor it? And my basic answer is going to be like, yeah, if it's authentic. Like if it's something I would authentically use, yes. So, I mean, yeah, again, like you can buy, this is called eyelash yarn, and you can buy it on eBay in a lot of, like, in packages. I find a bunch of it at thrift stores. And like more and more, my projects are just kind of my own art. So I just go shopping in my own yarn stash. I loved my visit to Philly. I still feel like I haven't yet actually done Philly. I've just driven to like the first time I was there, because I was giving a talk at Jefferson University, and then I just threw a happy hour at the hotel where I was staying. And then we just drove in and did that same thing, but without the university talk again. So I still need to go back and do Philly, but I think actually kind of soon, like in July or something, there's friends of ours having a Philly party that we might go to. And then we might just like stay an extra day so we can actually see Philadelphia. Went to a little market that was wonderful. Another new account. So now I'm moving on from the like, it's because they don't like my content. And I think it's because you're just not supposed to make this much money. Like, they will let me be in the creator program for about 5 to 10 days before they're like, yeah, we didn't sign up to give you hundreds of dollars a day. And then they find a reason to kick me out. But because it only took me 10 days on the last account, where I've only been active for 10 days, and I've made quite a good living in those 10 days, it is unfortunately still worth it for me to keep doing it, because I am kind of ready to give up on. Sure. I think all the art is part of healing. And actually we're going to focus on that in my class too. About like, what kind of art are you doing while you're deconstructing and writing and doing all this really hard stuff? But like, and I think my next book, Un-American, about deconstructing whiteness and power and privilege and all that stuff, is gonna have like a knitting theme of like taking out the bad programming and putting other stuff in. I am also on YouTube. I'm live there right now. Except I don't know how to make the comments always visible, so I have to like keep tapping on the thing. It's just annoying. You just want to see all the message visible, and it pops up for like a minute, and then it disappears. My dog doesn't shed, that's why I don't have his hair on me, but otherwise, yes, I will have coffee dribbling down this at some point. But I mean, I drink my coffee with the straw, so it's better. It doesn't spill as much. I think I'm not the kind of former intelligence officer trained on and deployed to the Middle East that's going to talk to you about it. This is like all the exhaustion of everyone trying to predict the future. This is what I was trying to say with the steak and lobster thing. Like, there are no well-known secret messages that you're gonna know. Like, you're gonna know we're going to war exactly at the same time as everyone else does. No, I made one little coat for my dog, and he's grumpy about it, as is everyone. Everyone who lives in the knitting cult household is grumpy about the things that I make. Happy to spend my money, though. Although I did tell Knitting Cult Baby that I was roasting her hard for not wearing the thing she promised to wear, and then she got a little bit teary-eyed, and I was like, oh, baby, come on. Yep, I'm not going to talk to you about the Middle East. There's a reason you didn't hear me talk about Palestine. There's a reason you're not going to hear me talking about Iran. And the only thing I can tell you is that I'm not going to talk about it. There are some yarns, like these really like fuzzy ones, but different kind of fuzzy, that like when I tried to knit, or when I knit a sweater with it, it was hard on my hands. It's almost like chenille yarn. But then those are good for like making earrings and jewelry and the other fun stuff that I do. So I can't be too mad. Yep. Literally cannot speak about it. And like, they want to shut me up, I'm sure. And I'm trying to not give them easy reasons. Also not submitting my next book to the Pentagon, but you know, fight that fight if it happens. All right, so now we have one side sewed on with an armhole. And oh, Parker's permaculture sent me tons of people. Hopefully so we've just decided that we're going to spend about a month, late July through late August, driving. We're going to drive from DC to Canada, across Canada to Seattle, then down the Pacific Coast Highway. And we definitely want to try to go up to Portland and see hers. Oh, it's so funny when y'all think you can just spam me and I can't just block you. It's cute though. It's cute. Apparently one of the reasons they decided I was a psychological operation was because these girls were like, we keep blocking her and then she keeps coming back. And people try to be like, it's a new account. But they look at it and they're like, but it has 100,000 followers. How can it be 3 days old? Because I've come back stronger than the 90s trend. It's actually called Blue Ocean Strategy. And it's what every entrepreneur is going for, where you create your own market that didn't exist before you. Because there actually are new things under the sun, like knitting and talking about cults. And it's funny, like we were talking about this yesterday on the Hey White Women podcast, where it's like the more you professionalize and add credentials, the more actually replaceable you are. Versus if you also tie it closely to your own story and things about your perspective, much less replaceable. That's why I'm not afraid of AI and robots. But also a world where robots do all the work and we all just get a stipend to lay around and survive and do art sounds pretty cool. I don't know why the right is always fear-mongering about that. I don't feel like we love to camp. I certainly don't love to camp. Did enough of that in the Army. However, we know how to camp very well. We full-timed in an RV for 4 months during COVID. And that was very lovely, except for all the breakdowns. But also, I don't have to drive because I'm married to a helicopter pilot. And also, he used to be a helicopter mechanic. So he deals with everything. And I just get driven around the country. This is why I buy him airplanes and boats and stuff. So probably what we're going to do is especially once we go through all the trouble of having it wrapped in knitting coat lady stuff, is we're just going to at least keep it for the fall also. And like, then just drive it around, like do little short trips around the East Coast, sorry. When we get back home and host like little mini events and stuff like that. And like, we like living in small spaces because we all like each other. We like meeting people. We'll definitely be coming through Alberta, I believe. There's a guy who did a Children of God book there. I wonder if he would be up for doing public event, but I'm not sure. Are we coming through Nova Scotia? I think we are. He listed it all last night, but at some point he will sit down and plot it all on the map, and then I will make events for everything and tell you all when that's going to happen. But for right now, I'm going to be in New York City on Wednesday next week, the 25th, having a happy hour at the Gallivant in Times Square, in the middle of our Gallivant. Man, military cots are awesome for sleeping in. Basically hugs your body like a hammock, and I always used to joke that I was going to steal one, but I didn't stay long enough to be a major, so I didn't have to, have one in my... Oops, that's all supposed to be purple. This is what I mean. If you mess it up, you can take it out if you crochet it. The difference between crocheting and knitting. Okay. Knitting is with 2 needles, and you're like looping each stitch through each stitch, but you're doing like whole rows at a time. Crochet is with 1 hook. This is just a double-sided hook, and you are looping each stitch through itself to create fabric out of thread, but you're doing it through 1 stitch at a time. Knitting can be done by machine, crochet cannot. Crochet is also kind of like 3D printing because you can just make anything out of crochet. There's a whole thing called amiguris, which are just basically crochet stuffed animals. And to me, crochet is much more interesting. I do it a lot. I just usually am doing it off camera. Knitting is very mindless for me. Even though the number 1 stereotype about knitting is that you're counting all the time. And I know that people think that I'm counting all the time and also discussing my topic at an expert level. And I'm okay with that. Crochet's kind of more like knots, but I mean, you're still just hooking one thing through itself. You still just pull and it all comes out like a run-in knitting. I have crochet plushies. I have these two called the Ugly Babies I made during COVID. I'm not good at it. Like my plushies and amiguris look like Pinterest fails usually. So when I do my children's book, I'm Not a Dragon, I'm gonna pay someone else to crochet me an amiguri dragon, probably. But like, speaking of tension and stuff, it's funny because I'm learning to play guitar right now, and the closest thing I relate it to is knitting. Like, it's very similar to knitting in a lot of different ways. Right now I can play Shake It Off very poorly, but I just need more practice. You gotta get your tension right. You gotta get your hands used to holding it the right way. I'm working on, you know, chord switching now, and so I'm gonna wait till I can play Shake It Off only sort of badly, and then I'm going to probably come play it for you all. It will be fun. Okay. Today's Wednesday, so have therapy. Have book club tonight, 6:30 EST. We are discussing the last section of Dr. Alexander Stein's Terror, Love, and Brainwashing. And we are specifically talking about lying, justified lying. Actually, I need to remember to send them out questions and a section of my book that talks about justified lying. The tablet's dying, so we're going to go pretty soon. Hopefully, I found lots of people on TikTok by doing this. I just started the account this morning and got it to 1,000 people to go live by live time, so you know the drill now. TikTok is just mad, and there's something. So like now I'm gonna have two accounts. One account that's in the Creator Fund and one account that's selling books, but I still think in the Creator Fund they just find excuses to say that your things are violations too, and then they just like demonetize you. So I mean, or slow roll you or whatever. I mean, so we see. At some point I might just lose it and be like, I'm done. Yeah, they've been talking about banning TikTok for 6 years. I don't believe any of it. I'm not worried about it. I have one tattoo that I got for my last birthday. It says, "My story's not over yet," with a book whose binding is the semicolon. Yeah, I mean, one, I just don't think they're going to get rid of it. And two, the nice thing about not really having any competition for what I do is like, well, then I'll just see you wherever we all go when TikTok goes away. But, I mean, that's why I'm also on YouTube and Patreon and other places. But somebody's going to fill, now that they've proved the market for TikTok, like somebody's going to fill it. And unless they understand that TikTok is first and foremost a marketplace, they're not going to fill it well. So like, everyone says Blue Sky is amazing, and as soon as what's his name figures out how to monetize it, I'll probably be there. What's his name? Mark Cuban, that guy.
Mark Cuban owns Blue Sky?
I think so.
Cool. Of all of the billionaires,
Pretty
he's
sure.
the one I distrust the least.
Yeah, and he's the one who's trying to be like, blah, 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 for the people, this and that. But, I mean, he's so far in the cult of entrepreneurship that, you know,
Yeah,
I only expect so much good from him.
at the end of the day, he's still a billionaire.
Right. Any one of them could fund the 6 billion end world hunger plan that USAID made for Elon. Like, Elon absolutely deserves every single piece of hatred, but also, why are these other people not doing it? All right, so now I will show you the Exmo coat. Keeps getting banned because I'm doing the right things. Haha. This is the Exmo. Because even when it's cold outside, you want people to know that you're not a Mormon. And then, I can just by taking this one off right now, but then you'll have sleeve. Seems like maybe I should unbind it off and make it longer, because I always do this, because you never really know what it's going to take up. So there you go. And that's going to be the whole coat, and that's what you see me doing. And I technically can do one of these in about a week. That's with all the other crochet. A couple years ago, I crocheted one of these coats for every era of the Eras tour, and then I had an Eras tour party when the movie came out, and I had all the daughters of the ladies do like a catwalk dancing to a song and then give their mom the jackets. But then I also ended up making jackets for all the babies, and anyways, it was like this whole marathon thing, and it was pretty fun. And then I lost that video. But yeah, I mean, when people ask me like, can you make money off of fiber arts? I'm like, I make a lot of money off of fiber arts, but you have to be extremely prolific creator, create tons of stuff, and you have to have a huge platform. I sell the jackets for like $300. And those have usually always come on commission, but what I'm trying to do is just like create things and then put them up for sale, because I'm much better at caring about art when I'm just doing it for fun. Like right now I'm doing all these rainbow pieces and selling them, but you have to go to my knitting.cult.lady account to see the shop, because I'm connected here. I'll have to start a new shop to connect it, because both of my other shops are locked to those other profiles until I finish paying my punishment dues. And kick you out of the creator account for a month, but then you can't disconnect your shop and close your account until you're done paying your punishment. It's like so culty. Oh, it's so culty. Yeah, and then like mostly I've just been obsessed with these, like making jewelry, and it's just like I just buy junk jewelry. I literally take it off a junk pile. Like this was a broken necklace. I just sewed these parts on last night, and then I just like made it something awesome. So that's kind of when people are like, how do you survive all the traumatic stuff you do? And it's like, well, I did a lot of healing, and now it's mostly just my area of interest and expertise, but also like I spend so many hours a day just like listening to audiobooks and crafting and parallel playing with all the other neurospicy people in my house. We are not cooked. We are cooking. Like, I know that it's like civilians, and civilians wouldn't know this, but like the US Army just burnt down their own 250th birthday party so that the president couldn't have it. And y'all still think he can send us to a war we don't want? They're bad at this. We have been acting, the left for some reason has been acting like he can just do whatever he wants. He can just grab the US and make it a dictatorship. Oh, bro. Why I'm trashing the army? Because I was a captain in the army. I almost certainly have more deployed experience in one of my ovaries than you have in your entire shrivelly little man body. And I've also written a best-selling book about the army. I'm one of the most Googleable women veterans alive. And I've written at this point not one, but 2 critical books proving that the army is a cult. Have a day. Google me for all your little competency checking, because I don't owe you shit. So he's calling me a pog. He's trying to indicate that I never left the wire. But I made history for women on a combat team. And I make lots of money selling my book about it. Nobody cares what you think, bro. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody's asking your permission. My book was cleared by the Pentagon. And Fort Knox told me what to call myself. You do this every time I make a new account. I love living rent-free in your brain. Like I have to prove anything to you, my love. I mean, it's just little boys with their shrivelly little man pearls, terrified that they're never going to be centered again, which is true. So pathetic. Just little dick energy all over the place. I need to plug in the tablet. Balance you in the front. I mean, it's not a corset, but it's still pretty cool. Can't be totally predictable. Plus, you know, this account's not monetized yet, so I'm not gonna waste the good outfits. People are like, so you're only doing this for money? Yes. As I've said many times, if there was a way that we could predict to just unbrainwash people, I would be very wealthy and then I would not be doing this anymore. And my grandfather would not still be running the money for a cult. You know, small things. Yeah, I know. People are silly. I think they can shame me. I think I have to prove anything to them. Like all these people were trying to demand I make them videos at 10 o'clock at night on weekends. Like, sit down. Oh, I will probably not finish this. I don't know. Next couple days. Most of my time is crocheting, not knitting. I mean, so it's both things with this yarn, right? Like it is difficult to knit with, and like even I thought didn't drop stitches anymore, and like the first one of these has many holes that are tied, but it's also very forgiving. So like you just knit all your edges in while you're doing it. So it's like once you learn to not drop stitches very much, but also how to feel them with your fingers, hold it up to the light, check, and pick them back up if you drop them, then it's very easy. So, crochet call babies. Yeah. I mean, the knitting is still more impressive, right? Because the knitting, there's, several things going on. Like when I am clearly reading while knitting, like it's very, very obvious that I don't need to see. And I'm also a very good out loud reader. Thank you for all the hate money comments. You're paying for my jaunt across Canada and the Pacific Coast today. Love you. There's not more cult members from Fleetwood Mac that I know of, but they've been coordinating with Jeremy Spencer very, very as recently as 2020. For everybody that likes to excuse them and be like, he left in 1971 and they're not bad people. Fleetwood planned a whole tour with a man who has 400 pages on the internet accusing him of pedophilia. And Mick Fleetwood planned a tour with him in 2016. And Survivors of the Children of God called every single venue and got them shut down. And then he still planned another one in 2020. Yeah, if you listen to Fleetwood Mac, you've been funding a pedophile cult for the last 50 years. And I love ruining that for people. Fun for me. Fleetwood Mac is not a cult. One of the founding members of Fleetwood Mac joined the Children of God and has funneled royalties in the millions and millions of dollars to them. His name is Jeremy Spencer, and you can Google his pedophilia stuff. And people that don't understand that having your front catalog stuff be popular also makes your back catalog stuff popular. In the year of our Lord and Savior, Dr. Taylor Allison Swift, they're not ready for this graduate school conversation. But, yeah, literally the lawyer originally was like, I don't think you can call him Uncle Jerry and say he's from a famous band because that's too easy to figure out. Because one person from a famous band joined the Children of God. And then I sent him a link that he said led to 400 pages of accusations against him, including from his own daughter. And he was like, literally said to me, go with God. So, I mean, Stevie Nicks has never said anything. I feel like as a woman, if I came in to a band that had a well-known pedophile birthed out of it, I would say something about the victims. I would have at some point, maybe, said, hey, could we each give a little bit of our $100 million worth each to these 7,000 children whose lives were destroyed? But they didn't care when he was an adult married to a 14-year-old girl either. But yeah, skinny white women. Propping up the patriarchy. One time, like imagine the power if Fleetwood Mac held one concert for proceeds to go to the victim of the very famous cult that is forever tied to their band. Like imagine if the men trying to get you to believe we're good men actually use their voices to stop the bad men. Okay, we're tired of you, bro. Tired of you. So you don't get to hang out here anymore. I don't need your money that much. I have my own. Bye. 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 Picture really lovely lady bits. It's called All Vulvas Are Beautiful. Get it in the shop, and you can get it in the shop of my other account, the knitting.cult.lady. Comes with there's a children's book called My Body is Sacred, and inside it has a picture of the prepubescent vulvas, and then the print is the adult ones, and it's amazing. So definitely check that out. And now I bid you adieu. You'll see me on some account. I'll see you at book club. I will send an email right now and not forget.